We have been taught from our very first day that kindness is the ultimate good, that to help another person is the highest moral calling. We are told to be selfless, to be compassionate, to be the person who steps in to save the day. Our heroes are the ones who help. Our villains are the ones who are selfish. This idea is carved into the bedrock of our civilization. But what if this belief, in its modern, simple form, is not just wrong, but deeply dangerous? What if I told you that your help, your kindness, could be the very thing that is crippling the people you claim to love? What if your desire to save someone is actually a subtle form of destruction? This is a difficult truth to accept. It goes against everything we have been conditioned to believe. It feels cold. It feels wrong. But if you have ever helped someone, only to watch them fall back into the same hole, if you have ever given so much of yourself to fix someone that you ended up broken, if you have ever felt that your help was not being used as a stepping stone, but as a permanent hammock, then you have already felt the truth of this. You have experienced the exhaustion of destructive kindness. The problem is not with compassion. Compassion is vital. The problem is with undiscerning help. The problem is with the ego that gets involved in the act of helping. Let us be very clear. This is not a speech that advocates for selfishness. This is not a call to become cold or to build a wall around your heart. A world without empathy is a wasteland. This is a call for a higher form of compassion. This is a call for wisdom. The sage, the wise figures of history, from the Stoics to the great Eastern philosophers, understood this critical distinction. They knew that true compassion is not about removing someone's struggle. It is about giving them the strength to face it. They knew that a doctor who gives a patient more poison just because the patient asks for it is not a healer, he is an accomplice. And in the same way, the person who helps another to avoid their responsibilities, to escape their lessons, or to remain weak is not a friend. They are an enabler. Our modern desire to help is often corrupted. Sometimes we help because we are uncomfortable with another person's pain. Their struggle reminds us of our own fragility, so we rush in to fix it, not for them, but to relieve our own anxiety. Sometimes we help from a place of ego. It makes us feel strong to be the savior. It gives us a sense of power, of superiority, to be the one who has it all figured out, looking down on the one who is struggling. And sometimes we help because we are trying to control the outcome, to force our will on someone else's life, convinced that we know what is best for them. In all of these cases, the help is not help at all. It is a transaction. It is about us. The great thesis is this: you cannot do the work for another person. You cannot walk their path. You cannot learn their lessons. And when you try, when you intervene with your misguided help, you are not saving them. You are stealing from them. You are stealing their opportunity to grow. You are stealing their chance to find their own power. You are stealing the lesson that life itself was trying to teach them. You are, in effect, keeping them a child forever. So, how do we know the difference? How do we know when to offer a hand and when to step back and allow the necessary struggle to unfold? The sages were not just compassionate, they were discerning. They identified specific types of people and situations where helping is the most dangerous thing you can do. To practice true, wise compassion, you must first learn who not to help. You must identify the patterns of those who will use your kindness as fuel for their own dysfunction. We will explore the 6 types of people that the sage warns you must allow to face their own destiny. We begin with the first, and most common. The first, the chronic victim. This person lives in a world where nothing is ever their fault. They are defined by what has been done to them. The behavior is a constant narrative of woe. Their boss is unfair. Their ex-partner was a monster. The world is against them. Their luck is always bad. They do not seek solutions. They seek sympathy. Your ear is a dumping ground for their grievances. The psychology is a complete abdication of responsibility. They have found a strange comfort, a dark power, in being powerless. Their victimhood has become their identity, and they protect it fiercely. To accept responsibility would be to lose who they are. The consequence, the danger of helping them, is that you are feeding their identity. When you offer sympathy, you are validating their narrative that they are helpless. When you offer a solution, they will meet it with a yes, but they do not want to be saved. They want an audience for their suffering. When you help the chronic victim, you are not lifting them up. You are becoming a co-star in their tragic play, and they will exhaust your energy until you too feel like a victim. The sage knows you cannot help someone who is addicted to their own powerlessness. The second, the enabler of their own addiction. This is not limited to substances. It can be an addiction to gambling, to toxic relationships, to debt, or to drama. The behavior is a cycle of crisis and rescue. They hit a predictable low, and they call you. They need money to pay a bill they ignored. They need you to lie for them. They need you to come and save them from a mess of their own making. They express remorse. They make promises. And then the cycle repeats. The psychology is one of avoidance. They are addicted not just to the substance or behavior, but to the rescue. Your help has become part of their addiction. Your help is the safety net that allows them to keep jumping. The consequence is that you are not being kind, you are being cruel. You are actively participating in their self-destruction. By helping them, you are removing the one thing that could ever force them to change, the consequences of their own actions. The sage understands that for this person, the most loving thing you can do is to let them hit the bottom they are so desperately seeking. The bottom is the only solid ground from which they can begin to climb. Your help is just a layer of mud that keeps the bottom soft. The third, the empty well. This person is defined by a deep, bottomless need for validation, attention, and energy. The behavior is a constant, subtle, or overt demand on your resources. They text you all day. They need your advice on everything. They drain your emotional energy. They are a black hole of need. They are not interested in your life, except as it relates to theirs. The psychology is that they have no internal source of self-worth. They are hollow. They are trying to build an identity, a sense of okayness, using pieces of other people. They are emotional vampires. The danger is that there is no enough. You can pour all of your time, love, and energy into them, and the well will never be full. It cannot be. It is not your job to fill another person. When you help them, you are merely postponing their essential life's work to learn how to fill their own well. The sage knows that you must protect your own energy. You cannot save another person from drowning if you are letting them pull you under. The fourth, the schemer who seeks a tool. This person does not see you as a human being. They see you as an asset. The behavior is transactional. They are incredibly charming and complimentary when they need something, your connections, your skills, your money. But the moment you are no longer useful, or if you ask for something in return, they vanish. The psychology is purely parasitic. They view the world as a game of exploitation, and helpers are simply naive players to be used. They see kindness as weakness. The consequence of helping them is that you are reinforcing their cynical worldview. You are proving them right, that the world is full of people who can be manipulated. You are not helping them. You are becoming an accomplice in their schemes. And in the process, you are devaluing your own worth and wasting your resources. The sage knows that wisdom requires guarding your gifts. You do not hand a sharp sword to someone who intends to use it for harm. Your help is that sword. The fifth, the one who refuses the lesson. This person is stuck in a loop, making the same mistake over and over, not out of addiction, but out of stubbornness. The behavior is that they ask for advice, but they never take it. They complain about their situation. You carefully outline a practical path forward. They agree. And then they do the exact opposite. They return a week later with the exact same problem, ready for another helping of your advice. The psychology is rooted in ego and fear. They want the comfort of being listened to, but they are terrified of the work of changing. Taking your advice would mean admitting they are wrong. It would mean taking a risk. It is far easier to stay in the familiar misery and complain about it. The consequence of helping this person is that you become their source of entertainment. You are their intellectual sparring partner. You are allowing them to pretend they are solving their problem, which is the perfect excuse not to actually solve it. You are wasting your breath and your wisdom. The sage knows that advice is only valuable when it is requested by someone who is truly ready to act. Until then, you must remain silent. You cannot teach a student who refuses to learn. And the sixth, the potential that never arrives. This is perhaps the most tragic and tempting one. This is the person you help because of who they could be, not who they are. The behavior is that you do the work for them. You see their potential, their talent, their intelligence, and it pains you to see it wasted. So you step in. You get them the job interview. You write their resume. You clean up their messes. You essentially try to live their life for them, believing that if you can just push them across the Anish line, their potential will finally activate. The psychology is often your own ego. You have become attached to your vision of their life. You are not helping them. You are trying to sculpt them into the statue you want them to be. You are projecting your own ambitions onto them. The consequence is twofold and devastating. First, you are preventing them from ever developing their own motivation. Why should they learn to walk when you are so willing to carry them? Second, you are building a deep, unspoken resentment. They will resent you for making them feel weak, and you will resent them for not living up to the potential you saw in them. The sage knows you must love what is, not what could be. You cannot force a flower to bloom. You can only provide the soil and the sun. Whether it blooms or not is, and must be, its own journey. These 6 archetypes are not monsters. They are people, trapped in patterns of suffering and dysfunction. And it is precisely because we feel compassion for their suffering that we fall into the trap of helping them in ways that only deepen their ruts. We see their pain, and our instinct is to remove it. We must unlearn this instinct. We must replace it with a higher wisdom. So, what does true help look like? What is the compassionate action of the sage? It is not cold indifference. It is not turning your back. It is a profound and radical shift in perspective. First, the sage helps by embodying the alternative. You do not help the chronic victim by joining them in their complaints about the world. You help them by being a living example of someone who takes radical responsibility for their own life. Your peace, your power, your integrity, that is the teaching. That is the lighthouse that shows them another way is possible. Second, the sage helps by not removing necessary consequences. This is the hardest part. It is the path of tough love. It means letting the person you care about fail. It means letting them feel the cold, hard impact of their own choices. It means standing back with a heart full of love and allowing them to go through the fire. Because you know that the fire is not there to destroy them. It is there to refine them. It is the only thing that can burn away the dysfunction. To pull them out of the fire prematurely is to guarantee they will have to walk back into it later. Third, the sage helps by holding space, not giving solutions. When someone is truly ready to change, not just complaining, but genuinely seeking a new path, the sage does not provide a map. They provide a compass. They do not say, do this, this, and this. That is the ego of the helper speaking. Instead, they ask powerful questions. What do you think is the next step? What is this situation here to teach you? What is the one thing you have the power to change right now? This is true help. It is the act of guiding someone back to their own inner wisdom. It is the Socratic method. You are not giving them the answer. You are helping them discover the answer that is already inside them. This empowers them. It teaches them to fish instead of giving them a fish. This is the shift we are called to make. From helper to healer, from savior to lighthouse, from enabling to empowering. It requires courage. It requires you to be comfortable with another person's pain. It requires you to let go of your own need to be needed. It is in many ways a far more difficult path than just writing a check or offering simple advice. But it is the only path that leads to real transformation. We have been sold a cheap, sentimental version of kindness. True compassion is not cheap. It is not sentimental. True compassion is a diamond. It is clear, it is strong, and it is sharp. It has the courage to cut when cutting is necessary. It has the wisdom to know that true growth only comes from struggle. You cannot save people from themselves. To try is an act of supreme arrogance. It is to assume that your plan for their life is better than the plan of life itself. Your help becomes a barrier, a comfortable prison that prevents them from undertaking the sacred journey of their own becoming. So as you go forward, you will be met with these situations. You will feel the pull, the instinct to help. And when you do, you must stop. You must breathe. And you must ask yourself the critical question: am I acting from a place of true, wise compassion? Or am I just getting in the way?